Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Marc Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Marc helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Marc draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth. This is your host, Marc Bautis. Today I'm joined by a special guest, Rodney George. Rodney's the founder and managing partner at Luxe Travel Consultants, an agency of travel professionals with a combined 185 years of experience. He and his team are sought after for their attention to detail and dedication to providing personalized service tailored to their clients' needs and preferences. Rodney prides himself on making the travel planning process simple, seamless, and stress-free so his clients can focus on rest and leisure. In addition to his expertise in luxury travel, Rodney is also well-versed in the latest travel trends, safety protocols, and destination information, ensuring that his clients have all the necessary information to make informed decisions about their travel plans. Rodney, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Marc. Good to be here.
So maybe we can start off by, I know everyone knows travel, but what specifically is classified as luxury travel?
It's like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Luxury's kind of the same way. It's in the eye of the beholder. I live in Naples, Florida, and our office is in Naples, Florida, so people down here have a definition of luxury that maybe is a little bit different than other parts of the country. But when you think luxury in travel, think about the luxury brands, for example, in the hotel industry. You know, you think Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton. That's luxury, and in travel that equates to a number of brands, whether you're on the land or on the oceans of the world.
Do you see people doing a lot of more travel on the land or sea, or is it mixed? Are you kind of seeing both trends going on now?
Yeah, our practice every year is somewhere pretty close to 50-50. Sometimes it'll get skewed a little bit because we had a huge group that took over a whole ship or something. But we usually run pretty close to half and half, about 50% water-based travel and about 50% land-based. Last year it kicked up to almost 60% on the ocean side, and there is so much pent-up demand post-COVID that we literally feel sometimes like we're chasing our tail. The door is opening and closing so fast in our office with people wanting to get back out there.
How did you get involved in the space and creating an agency? Did you just kind of like booking your own travels, your own trips, and decided, hey, this would be fun to do it more frequently for other people, or was there another reason you got into it?
Well, I had retired from another career, and really, I was single at the time and got bored to death, I just couldn't play golf every day. And so I was thinking of something I would like to do, and one of my best friends says, why don't you go into travel, man? You've been everywhere. You've done everything. And so I started the agency 16 and a half years ago, and I have 9 incredible ladies that work with me. And as you mentioned in the intro, we have almost 200 years of travel advisory experience within our office. So it's hard to find a corner of the earth that someone in our office isn't an expert in.
Maybe you can walk us through kind of like a typical engagement, and I'm sure they vary, but kind of with someone you're working with in terms of them deciding they want to go somewhere, from you kind of helping figure that out to actually the execution of, all right, this is the itinerary for the trip.
Well, Marc, I have a feeling that it's very similar to your process as a financial advisor. We spend a lot of time getting to know the new client, finding out what their dreams, goals, and ambitions are for traveling for the rest of their lives, because we're not in it for one quick trip and we're gone. We want lifetime relationships with our clients, and so we spend a lot of time getting to know them and what's important to them, what brands have they traveled on, where do they want to go. I hate the phrase bucket list, but nonetheless, what's on the bucket list? Where do you really want to go? And have you prioritized that? Because it kind of helps them get grounded in the whole process. Like, as I said earlier, what's luxury to one person is not luxury to another. So we really try to get to know that client as well as we possibly can so that they have an incredible experience, because happy clients come back and book again.
Yeah. And then when you're actually booking that trip, is it kind of, okay, we'll help you with the hotel, the airfare, or are you getting down to helping them find restaurants, or what level of detail will you get involved with?
It really depends on what they want. Some clients want to just kind of go out there and go crazy. Most people want something more structured, and we provide all of our clients with a very detailed day-by-day itinerary if that's what they want. If they just say, look, I want you to get me there, I want you to drop me at the hotel, I want to explore whatever city they're in on our own. Now, we discourage that because much like your clients trying to manage their own money while you're trying to help them, it doesn't usually work out very well. And in our business anyway, when people try to do it themselves, they miss probably 75 to 80% of what they really wanted to see or what they should have seen while they were there. And so with the price of airline tickets and hotel rooms and cruise ships today, it really pays to have a professional guide to help you to make sure you don't miss those really important, not nice to see, but must see places in the destination where you're headed.
Yeah, makes sense. And then as far, obviously we're talking about luxury travel. And like you said, it is relative. But are there deals within the luxury travel space that people can save money on by going through someone like you versus, like you said, missing out on something if they try to do it themselves?
Oh yeah, there's constantly deals and offers around it. And I will tell you this, most of the vendors in the world of travel do business pretty much like Apple Computers does. Apple fixes the price on their product. You can't discount Apple or they'll take the brand away from you. It's pretty much the same way with the cruise lines. If you call up a cruise line and make a booking and then call us to make the same booking, the price is probably going to be the same. The difference is, do we have a group on board? We're part of Signature Travel Network, which is the second largest travel consortium in the world. So do they have a group on there that has some benefits, some perks, some dollars off, some shipboard credits, whatever? Are there any offers that say, okay, if the price goes down, I get that price? We track all that stuff electronically because we're wired directly with all the major brands. So if they reduce the price, we know it. We pick up the phone and call you and tell you, hey, we just rebooked your trip and saved you a few $1,000s because they lowered the pricing. If you book direct with the vendor, the cruise line or the travel tour operator, they're not necessarily going to call you and tell you that. But our system tracks that so that we're able to call the client and deliver some cash back to them if and when that does happen. And it does happen on a fairly frequent basis.
Let's say they make the determination, I don't want to do this myself. I want to hire someone to do this. How do they, and they haven't worked with anyone in the travel space before. How do they find a travel consultant? What are some of the things they should look for, or questions they should ask the person, the travel agency that they're thinking about utilizing?
I would say, first of all, look for someone who has a tremendous amount of experience, because the world is a big place and it's hard to know everything there is to know about everything. And that's why our agency is in a real sweet spot, because we've got ladies that speak multiple languages. We've got experts in Northern Europe. We've got experts in Africa. We do, believe it or not, Africa is our number 2 destination on a year in and year out basis, right after Europe. So it really pays to have that level of expertise, because your client's going to get a much better experience. Work with someone who's, I hate the phrase, but been there and done that.
True. Where are people going in Africa? What are some of the places?
Most of the people in Africa are going to Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, Zambia, and then, of course, South Africa is always a favorite to get down to Cape Town, to the wine regions, and get in a cage with some great white sharks in 52-degree water. And
sounds like fun. Yeah.
While you're there, you got to experience everything.
I know we were talking a little bit earlier about, people travel for different reasons, right? And obviously the rest and leisure and pleasure is one of them. But you were talking a little bit about how you're seeing more common people traveling for health reasons.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they are. And I did quite a bit of research recently. And some of the things that we found was that traveling typically offers both physical and mental health benefits. Traveling's been associated with a decrease in heart disease, lower stress levels, improved physical activity, and just better overall well-being. And you don't have to travel abroad to get these benefits. A staycation can have similar benefits as far as the emotional aspect is concerned without the physical burden of traveling abroad.
Actually, you bring up something good between abroad and traveling internationally. What are some of the trends in traveling in the U.S. that are you seeing?
Well, post-COVID, Mark, a lot of people say, we still want to travel. We just want to stay a little closer to home for now. And there's so much to see in our country. And so I encourage people, get the map of the U.S. out. And if you have to, just screen print one off the internet and check off the places that you've been and then circle that check mark if that's a place you might want to go back to. And then look at the country and what else is out there. I mean, I've got people that are trying to do all states. At the same time, I've got one client that's trying to visit 100 countries. So somewhere between those two ideas about travel is probably a happy medium.
A lot of people are interested in rewards that these credit card offers. Are there any that are more specifically catered towards being travel friendly than others?
Yeah, there are. And I'll tell you, the guy that does the best job that I'm aware of is called the Points Guy. And if you don't know him, just go on Google and type in the Points Guy. And he keeps up with what's going on in the credit card world better than anybody. And if you're going to travel a lot, it pays to get a credit card that's traveler friendly so that you get the perks. I've got a credit card in my pocket right now that gets me in any American Airlines lounge anywhere in the world just by this one card. And having that lounge and going in and having just grabbing a quick bite to eat or some good hot Wi-Fi, maybe even a cocktail while I'm waiting for my flight, that's kind of priceless. The other side of that is you have to weigh, okay, now do I want cash back or do I want points for future travel? And if so, do I want it tied to an airline or do I want it where I can use it with any airline? So a lot of decisions there, but the Points Guy has great information and it's always current. It changes constantly.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest concerns for people traveling, especially traveling internationally, is safety, right? And there was, at one point it was the biggest concern about safety was COVID, but now you're hearing there's like geopolitical issues, political unrest in different places. It could be safety from getting sick on a cruise. How do you keep up with safety in all these different, traveling locations and obviously ensuring that your clients and customers are as protected as much as possible?
Probably just like you do. You read a lot, you keep your ears and eyes open all the time, but the vendors that you work with have entire departments that are looking at global situations around the world on an ongoing basis. I remember I was traveling with my wife and a group of 24 people in Africa when the Ebola virus broke out about, I don't know, what was that, 10 or 11 years ago. And so the people in our group were a little bit concerned about it, even though we were way over in East Africa and most of that was in West Africa. And I still remember my father-in-law sending us text messages on a daily basis. I saw in the Wall Street Journal today, blah, blah, blah. You guys need to get out of there. And so I looked and I got out a ruler at one of the camps we were in, and I measured and converted it to miles, and I said, we are as far as New York is from L.A. times 2 from the closest Ebola. Yeah. I think we're going to be all right. So, but you do have to pay attention, and the one thing that really, really good tour operators, cruise lines will do, they do not ever want to put you, their employees, or their equipment into harm's way. Because if they put you in harm's way, you're not going to ever come back. If they cause some type of harm to their employees, that's irreplaceable. And then their equipment. I mean, an airplane, a ship, those are sometimes in excess of $500 million worth of expenditure. So they're not going to put you into harm's way. Maybe harm's way happens after you're there, but they've got their hand on the pulse of what's going on in the various regions of the world where they operate.
What are some of the hot spots in Europe? I know you mentioned Europe is the number one place for you. Where do you see people going? Is it the typical London, Paris, play Italy, or are people going to some of the off-beaten places now?
Well, we've got a good group from our yacht club here in Naples. We're going to do the British Isles this summer. The Dalmatian coast, which is a top destination in Europe, where you go, Dubrovnik and Kotor, and Montenegro, and those types of countries. Greek Isles is always popular. There's a few hundred of those, but you only visit the big ones. And then, of course, Africa, as I mentioned, and our rapidly approaching our number 3 destination is Antarctica. A lot of people that have been most everywhere else, they want to be able to put that checkbox and have the bragging rights that we went to the 7th continent.
When you go to Antarctica, is it like on your side booking a trip? I mean, are they staying at a hotel? Or are they doing, I guess, ingrained in the expedition? What is it, an adventure, or is it kind of a tour? Are they on their own? Or are they as part of a tour in there? What would a trip to Antarctica look like?
Well, Antarctica, the only way to get there practically and have a place to stay is to go on a cruise ship. And many of the luxury brands have built special expedition-oriented ships with icebreaker hulls and that kind of thing. And the cool thing about the cruise industry is while you're traveling to Antarctica, you usually go out of Ushuaia, and it's a 2-day trek across the Drake Passage. So you're having an opportunity several times a day to listen to a lecture on where we're going, what we're doing, the types of wildlife you're going to see. But the ship is your home. There's 2 ways to get to King George Island, which is kind of base camp for Antarctica. One, you can fly there. We call that the fly bridge. And the other is to go on the cruise ship. And both offer some advantages and disadvantages, but for the traveler that wants to go to Antarctica, there's an abundant number of vessels that specialize in that. And then literally after December, January, February are over, which is summer in that part of the world, and you'll see temperatures in Antarctica in the mid to high 30s. But you get out of there and transition the ship, and they usually come up the globe and end up in Europe for the summer, and then go to the Arctic Circle. So those ships, they do some cruising with passengers on the way from the bottom of the world to the top of the world.
Yeah, I can see that being definitely a bucket list trip to go on. I know you mentioned you've been to Africa, or going to the British Isles. What are some of your other favorite destinations that you've been to?
Well, my favorite destination of all, Mark, is the South Pacific, in particular Bora Bora, Papeete, Moorea, Re'ete. Haven't been there in about 8 years, but we're taking a group back next year with a James Beard award-winning chef on board the ship. And so we're doing a number of the islands in French Polynesia, including the Society Islands, which is Tahiti and Bora Bora and Re'ete and Moorea. And then we're going over to the Cook and Marquesa Islands. It's a 13 or 14 night, and it's just one of the most beautiful. It is the most beautiful place on earth I've ever been.
Oh, wow. That's all the questions I have for you today. Rodney, I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode. You provided some great information for those looking to travel. Before we go, how best can listeners get in touch with you and find out more about what you do?
Well, the best way, I've got a free publication for your clients. It's called 25 Secrets to a Great Vacation. And if they'd like to receive that, they just text to 66866 and just type in 25 Secrets. There's no spacing. It's just 25 Secrets. And we'll email that out to them, and they'll have our contact information. In the meantime, if they got a quick question and they want to talk to someone, they can always dial 844-547-2763.
Perfect. We'll link to all that in the show notes. Thanks again, Rodney, and thank you to everyone who tuned in today.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bautisfinancial.com/call.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.